Okay, here we are live. It's a little after 8, I guess, so just about a minute or two late. You're at Folk You Zeus podcast. I think this is our fourth, maybe fifth, you might say. I don't know who's counting. Uh, Last week, tried to do this topic that we're going to address today. I tried to do it out of when I was in Florida. Wound up on a laptop that was an old laptop, and it kind of crashed it after about 4 or 5 minutes of being into the program. So and I couldn't jump back on. So apologies to anybody that might have been there, might have seen that, but. As I'm going, I know not too many people are chiming in, but I'm looking forward to anybody that might be there. So feel free to send a chat. Let me know you're here. Always want to try to get where people are chiming in from. So if you're in the United States anywhere, Chicago, probably Florida, Chicago, New York, wherever, and if you're in Houston, just say Houston or Cyprus or wherever, anywhere in the area. Okay. Just double checking. It looks good. I got a new light, a little bit of different lighting here. It's not going to be the final lighting. I know it's kind of leaving a shadow on Johnny back there, but that's oh well. Oh well. But I'll keep working on it. I think it's a little better. The camera's looking good. Hopefully the sound is good. Maybe somebody chime in and just say, hey, looks good, sounds good. And I'm going to just dive right into the material that I've got here. The title that I chose for this topic was "Who Are You?" and it's about introspection a lot. We'll get into that as we go. I want to upfront say this isn't going to be a psychology lesson, but I will talk in terms, if anybody has any background at all, these are the general terms that'll come up. And it's a fairly organized science that we can look at, but as artists, I think it's very important for us to understand how we kind of evaluate ourselves, and because we want to be able to be clear to other individuals as we create our art that we want to communicate. So it's all about communication. Art is communicating your ideas, whether it be via, like I said, a song or a painting or a sculpture. um, so we talked about classifying your art in regards to style or genre in one of the past. You could probably go back and pick up on one of those live presentations that I gave. So when you get a chance, maybe after this one, you want to go back and check that out. Um, yeah, it's very important that you understand your art. I mean, from the perspective of your art, you write a song, you paint a painting, you get a series of paintings, you're looking at them, you're saying, okay, where does this fit? That's about your art. But you, as the creator of that art, have to have a way of understanding where you're coming from. We can always blame the muse or credit the muse, however we want to look at it, and say, no, that song just came out of nowhere. Yeah, kind of not. We do have inspirations. We have people that inspire us. We have events that inspire us, and whatever, but basically we're looking at ourselves as being the creators. We have a psychology that we've developed, that this is how I create, this is the way I do it, this is why I do it. These are the things that inspire me. But the bottom line is you have to understand that you have to have some what we call intrapersonal communication, meaning that you are communicating with yourself. You're basically talking to yourself. You're not loudly talking to yourself, and accepting fact, I'm in a room here by myself talking to nobody, literally nobody. But obviously it's for a video purpose, and then hopefully people will view this either at a later date or chime in as we're going here today. I'm trying to get this to be live because it's always best to have some interaction. So if anybody does jump in here, please do. So what I did start last week is to start to a definition, and I'm I'm going to go to the Google, and as I usually do, to Lady Google, if I can get this to do the right thing the way I want it. Okay, yeah. And the first term we're going to look at is self concept, because that's where uh, when we start developing who we are, we have to have this general concept that other people will see, and that we will see, that there's a lot of, and that involves, well, let's just get the definition according to, so, like I said, it's like, so you're not, I'm not talking out of my ass. So we'll get, and it'll probably be from Wikipedia, which they talk out of their ass a lot too. So, but this is Lady Google. We'll see what it is. Definition of self concept.
Here's the definition of self concept: an idea of the self constructed from the beliefs one holds about oneself and the responses of others.
Okay. Yeah, let me read that again. I'm going to read it off of here. It says, an idea of the self constructed from the beliefs one holds about oneself and the responses of others. Okay. Components. Let's go. Components of self concept.
According to Psych Central, ideal self, your vision and ambitions of who you want to be. Real self, self image, how you currently see and perceive yourself. Self esteem, how much worth and value you believe you have.
Okay. That's what most of us learn. If you ever been in a psychology class, one of the first things you learn is this kind of a way to, when you are talking about psychology, about of yourself, the ideal self. Okay, ideal self. What do you want to be as an artist? You kind of like saying, well, I want to be able to create things that are, that, from an ambiguous state, form things and have a message behind it, have some beauty. There's a way to get that ideal art that you want. So you want, as yourself, you're looking at, as an artist, to be the best artist that I can be. I want to be able to achieve all these things, and be able to communicate effectively with the audience that I've either chosen or that have chosen me. So you have to have a communication concept as well. So that's ideal self. Next is self image. That's the way you see yourself. And that might not be exactly the way other people are viewing you or seeing you, which is very important, especially as somebody that participates in art. You might think you've painted the greatest painting, and it says what it says, and everybody should get it, and nobody gets it, nobody cares. So you have to kind of start adjusting. You have to, your self image according to others as well, and we'll get into that. And then the third component, major component, is self esteem. Okay, that's more emotional. Right? How do you feel about what you're doing, or how, yourself? I mean, the things that you do, in a general sense, as a human being, we're looking at our definite uh, interactions that we have with people, the environment, and everything, and we kind of look at it and we say, yeah, you want to build a positive self esteem. So you start to do things that will bring your inside you. You're going to feel good about yourself, raise your self esteem. Where in other times, it's, if you're on a bad path, you're doing things wrong, you're wrong in your mind. Okay, your self-esteem gets low. You've heard of low health self-esteem. High self, well, you have great high self-esteem, and that's sometimes an insult to people. Your self-esteem is so great, so you think you're so great. But it is important that if you are, especially as an artist, to keep you moving, to keep you motivated, to keep writing, to keep painting, to keep doing your art, whatever it is. You have to be able um, to to motivate yourself, and by understanding yourself, you're able to do that. And self-esteem is probably the underlying belief. You're not feeling too good about yourself. I mean, obviously, if you're depressed and stuff, that's when you decide you're going to write. So it affects in both low esteem, self-esteem, high self-esteem. But to be able to finish, I think, when I write songs, if I'm in a depressed mood, which I often do, I'll pick up a guitar and start writing something, and it's whatever it is. Um, that comes from there, the deepest emotions that I have, that the low emotions. But when I eventually, start crafting the song. Then you put it in a crafting mode, and you start building on it and start thinking about arrangement and substitute this for that or whatever it is. You're building that chord. Then you have to have a little better self high esteem, because you say, if you do start to write a song, you're depressed. You say, "Oh, that song sucks. Everything's gonna suck. Everything's gonna suck. Everything's gonna suck." But once you get to a certain point, you have to have enough of self-esteem generally within yourself to build and to have motivation to complete your work of art that you have. Um, so you're looking inwardly a lot. You're looking inwardly, as some people are very extroverted, and that doesn't necessarily mean that artists can't be, and but artists often are. But there's that second component of intrapersonal communication that you need. So that's a definite psychology term, and I'll ask Lady Google definition of intrapersonal communication.
According to Wikipedia, intrapersonal communication is communication with oneself or self to self communication.
Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory, I guess. So, but yeah, it's something that we all do on occasion. But the deeper you get involved with it, when I start thinking about uh, an idea for a song or a theme or something, or like a story, you have to really develop it, and you have to be able to bounce ideas off of yourself. Obviously, if you consistently collaborate with other writers, that's what you do. You talk about, well, here, I'm going to try this. You say, well, I don't know, no, try this instead. This will work better. This will work. Whatever these, say it this way, change the syntax, change, do things, use a different word, use them, make that into some kind of metaphorical situation or whatever. So, these are things that you do with a collaborator. When you're writing just on your own, you're your own collaborator. So you have to have that ability to be able to criticize yourself, which is the next topic, side topic that I want to get to, is being critical of yourself, being your own critic. It's important. One thing that I always say is, I'm not a critic. One of the reasons that I hate contest programs, whatever they are, like, kind of like, oh, you're the best singer. Oh, yeah, you're the best writer. You're the best this and that. This is the best that. Whatever you get. I when I was younger, I got some awards for some songwriting contests and that when I was kind of young. Nothing big. And as I got going on, battle of the bands type things and stuff, and it's you kind of realize that they're just kind of, they're shticks. Another one. They just somebody's just trying to make a buck or something off of it, or they got some people are very what would you say, uh, have a good attitude towards it and say, yeah, we'd like to expose people, and but I think there's other ways to do it than have to pit people, artists, against each other. um, I think one of the worst things is when they have the classical piano, and I don't even know what it's called, because I used to know. But when they have the best classical pianists, the best young pianists get together, and they do this big competition. They get together and all that, and do that thing, and it's like, and people get devastated when they lose, and it doesn't matter, even if it's the Star Search or the whatever they call those things, the Voice, Star Search, and Idols, those shows and stuff. Man, I watched a couple little segments. I said, especially when they start putting down some of these people, I said, hey, these are just amateurs, or people might have doing them professionally for a while, but it's kind of like, yeah, just give them some encouragement. But when you start rating people, oh, that was the best, this was the best, there's not a best song, there's not a best band, there's not whatever. There's just, so diversity is what we should celebrate. We should celebrate diversity in the arts, and the collaboration within the arts, and which is one of the things. And I don't want to go too off on a tangent from this, but it all applies, because we want to be able. I mean, the main collaborator that you have, like, let's say, as a lyricist, I will collaborate with a composer, and the composer, I happen to be the composer, and I happen to be the lyricist. So I have to, I have to understand myself. And that makes it, if you are, and if you realize these kinds of things and you start, sometimes you have to work at it a little bit, kind of like accept things that you are telling yourself and just, and evaluate it, just kind of like be able to bounce things off of yourself, off your inner mind, and to be able uh, accept your criticisms of yourself. Lots of times, like I said, it's the depressed guy that writes that, like is motivated to write this, these real, what would you call them? Gravitas, just very primal. But that maybe on that level, those songs or those pieces of works of art, and but then all of a sudden you got other emotions that interact, and you bring things out, and you create some dynamics in both, not just dynamics and volume. That's the thing. We'll talk in depth about dynamics in another episode. But not just people think dynamics, they think loud, the soft, but there's also dynamics in your the emotional content, the pace, the pacing that you have. There's a dynamics, and then it slows down, or you have a rest, and then a crescendo, and things like that. And a crescendo not necessarily even meaning, because that term is used as being like volume. It implies some volume, but it implies some energy. So it's more you're looking at dynamics and energy as well. So all that kind of like is something that you have to kind of bounce off yourself and saying, is this going the right direction in regards to dynamics, subject matter, theme? Am I following? Am I true to my message that I want to convey to the audience or the listener? Um, so anyway, looking here, okay, I made some notes here, so I'm kind of going back and forth here. I mentioned in the description about self actualization, and that's basically relating to the process of getting to your ideal self. You want to be able to understand that you have to create a good self image. A good self image isn't necessarily, oh, I feel real good about myself, but but you're an asshole. Let's say if everybody else thinks you're an asshole, but you feel real good about yourself. I mean, that's kind of like a narcissist or something. We don't want to get to that point. We want to be able because the self image will have to make adjustments to find out. Hey, yeah, I don't know. I don't think this looks good on me. This kind of attitude that I have, or these kinds of deeds that I do, don't really. I don't want to be that way. I don't want to have people look at me that way. And then obviously, people will look at you, and then if you feel comfortable, and then in social environments and interaction with other artists and things, and that's why we form communities of artists often, is because we want some validation that, hey, we're okay. People kind of like, we're real timid to give like I said, I'm not a critic, and I don't want to give too much criticism to anybody's work of art, because I might not be their main audience. I might be just another artist that has a different audience. We're trying, maybe me, like I says, as a folk group, or people that consider themselves folk singers, or folk instrumentalists or whatever. We tend to have the similar audience, but it's not always the same people. There are people that think that I suck, or I'm not relevant or something like that. And that's okay, because those people are not my audience. You have to understand. So as an artist, you understand where that's going back to figuring out where your art belongs. But in order to get to the point to where you get to art where you want it to be, is you have to understand what's inside of you, and what you need to develop, and how you need to change, to what I call growth. You need to grow. You need to grow as a human. If you're not growing as a human being, you're not going to grow as an artist. And I see a lot of artists kind of get stuck in the same thing, and a lot of times you get stuck because, hey, you're not making a living at art. So your day to day, you're putting in that 40, 50, 60 hours a week to a job, and your art's kind of on the side. So it's really hard to grow as an artist. But what I would say, in my with my meager, background in psychology a little bit, is to say it's important to grow as an individual, as a human being. That's the main thing. Then your art will grow along with it. So if you don't work at just being able to balance out yourself in these terms of the, setting a bar for yourself with an ideal self. This is where this is where I kind of want to be. I want to set a bar. I want to get there. There's a goal, like setting goals. um and then a self-image. You kind of like have to say, well, I have to portray myself as that. And we all struggle with it. I struggle with a self-image. Like I said, I'm not, you know because I'm a folk singer. I get a little break on my wardrobe. I think, maybe not. Maybe I'm seeing that as something wrong I'm doing here. Is and maybe, and then you see, folk people dress like folk people. I don't know, but from my perspective is that if through the years you see all different people within that community. It's like, be yourself. It's important to be yourself. And if you're an actor, then obviously it's important not to be yourself at times. And even when you're performing as a musician, I take on certain characters when I write a song. I'm not writing just from myself. This is Mark Zeus speaking this line, saying this line, or singing that line. It's somebody else. I mean, it's another character. There are characters. That's why I think songwriting and playwriting are a lot alike, and there should be more collaboration between those. But I digress. Okay, so we're looking at now. We're going to head over to what's known as a life mission, and I'm going to go to Lady Google and uh, see what she says about that. These are, I'm bringing up terms that are kind of discussed in general within psychology, but we're talking more on like an artist's motivations and how you see yourself is important within the arts. But anyway, let's look at that one. Life mission. Definition of life mission.
According to Wikipedia, the meaning of life, or the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life, pertains to the significance of living or existence in general.
Wow, that's kind of what do you call it? Existential almost, in a sense. I don't know the meaning of life. So, well, that's what he came up with, the life mission. But there is, what is the life? There's like, people also ask, what is the life mission? Are the key aspects of your life that make it worth living? Okay, uh, you know that's, you can delve in from there. It's like art for artists. Art makes life worth living itself. But that's kind of that I believe is kind of a bit shallow. But it's you have to, a lot of times they'll say you have to create a personal mission statement. That's one of the things that I kind of remember from studying those types of things, and that kind of makes sense for us too as artists. Um, we have to understand and define our mission. Um, if you know me, definitions are important. And some, you might have one definition of what life mission might be. I'll have another one, and other people. So that, and then we have discussions, and we can move ahead and kind of fit. But the concept of a personal mission seems kind of, actually, you might want to write it down, but it's something that you're communicating within yourself, is to determine and bounce off and say, okay, where am I going? I had a very good artist friend of mine, another songwriter, and very, and somebody that performs all the time, come up to me and say, well, what are you doing? Because that's a good question, because I do a lot of things. So I mean, he was kind of saying, you need to define your kind of mission state. What's going on? Where are you going with it? Well, who are you? Are you a, you know what I mean? And so he was asking that big question, who are you, to me? And was very sincerely, in a way, to wonder, because you know I perform in a band. I do rock and boogie and some country rock and stuff, and then I'll sing, like old classic country songs. I'll do this and that, and then then I have my strong folk background and protest music and social commentary and that. So I kind of but in a lot of respects, you know, if I was to um, have an audience to grow within my more folky social conscious thing, if I had a bigger audience, probably that's where I'm grounded. As far as singing the country songs, that's fun for me. It's good. I mean, I've been doing country music for 40 something years. I've done tons of it. I love it. It's great, and I have fun. And I could be in a full time country band and be happy. But I would still have that side where I needed to get my as much as that is an art, performing that. Let's say for me singing country song, but it's I'm more of a craftsman in that respect. Where I do that. So I'm in my mission. I have the mission of having the important stuff, the things that I really have to say, the commentary that I have of society and politics and love and hate and whatever, all that, the commentary that I have as a songwriter. Um, and then I have, my outlets of being able to, do a country show, and I enjoy it, and it's great, and I would love to do more of it. So that's what that question was good, and then obviously then I got the rock and boogie country rock kind of stuff that I do, and that kind of is very energetic, and it keeps me moving. I think keeps me vitalized in that, and so you know so yeah, we all kind of look at it and say, well, where am I? And then that goes back to the genre, fitting in the right genre and all that. That's for the sales part of it. But the internal part of it is he asked it as internal. So where, who are you? What do you really, so it made me think about it as well, and to where it is. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop singing country songs or rocking and boogieing, but I guess I kind of focused, and that's one of the moments soon thereafter that I decided, you know what, I'm a folk singer. That's what I've been. That's where my head's at more, is I'm a folk singer, and I could sing country music as folk songs as well. There's a lot of folk influence, and that's a huge genre. Another topic that we can cover, about what's included in that large category, uh, and so I mean, because I'm singing it and I'm a folk singer, does that make it folk? So, a tree fall in the woods, or that kind of a attitude towards it. But okay, all right, yeah. You know what I did is I actually went to Life Mission Quotes, and I'm going to go there because I found some really cool stuff there. So remember, I did that last week, and so I'm going to go to Life Mission Quotes, and it was Goodreads. Let me find that. Yeah, it was Goodreads. Let me just go there. All right. The first one they came up with was a simple one, right up what I'll do is just kind of read the quote, and if anybody, let me see, is anybody out there? Nobody's out there live, so I'll just kind of talk about it just briefly in each of these quotes. So one is, to realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. To realize one's destiny is a person's only obligation. Okay. This might be a different bunch of quotes because I don't even remember that one. But let's talk about it. What the heck? Uh, yes, the actualization thing that we were bringing up earlier. To get to that point of your ideal self, is to realize your destiny is a person's only obligation. So take that for what you will. It's simple. Um, is it your only obligation to realize your own destiny? Because I'm guessing if your destiny is to help people, that involves other folks, but that's your mission to get to that point, to where you're a good person and all that. So go so. And then I think five, three, four, five. Okay, this one says, quote, the secret to your purpose is to find out what you feel is important and not pursue what others would think is important. When you think highly of yourself, me thinking highly of you will never be enough. That's interesting. Yeah, person that said that last quote, that was, there's a couple of same, Paulo Coelho. Okay, that's who did this. This is from Shannon Adler. There's a bunch from Shannon Adler, but take that one. So the secret to your purpose is to find what you feel is important, okay, and not pursue what others would think is important. So it's kind of like, not as much as other people can influence you. You have to be strong enough, I believe, in your, have enough of strength in your beliefs, to be able to say, okay, well, these are the important things in my life. I'm not going to change what's important in my life because you think something's important. Now, that doesn't mean that what that other person might think is important, depending on who that person is. Obviously, if it's your wife or your mother or whoever, somebody very, very close to you, then to me, I would argue the fact that it's like, but it qualifies in the back end of this quote. Quote, when you think highly of yourself, me thinking highly of you will never be enough. So when you think highly of yourself, me thinking highly of you will never be enough. Okay. So, all right, moving on to the next one. That was 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. This is 8, from Cameron Conaway. Okay. Most of the people I don't know, but some of you might recognize if you're into a little deeper into psychology than I am. Okay. This is the quote. My next fight would not be measured in rounds, but throughout a lifetime. It would sustain and fulfill me longer than anything in the cage could. My opponent, my fight, would be against the slipping aspects of American society. Okay, it's from some memoirs of a cage fighting poet. Interesting. So yeah, this is Cameron Conaway, and it's a reference from Caged colon memoirs of a cage fighting poet. That's a good one. My next fight would not be measured in rounds, but throughout a lifetime. So, I mean, having lived a good slice of my lifetime, I can definitely relate to that. So you gotta be able to move into the next round and get there in as good a shape as you can, and try to turn things. And so I can understand that it would sustain and fulfill me longer than anything in the cage could. So yeah, live a full life. Think of your life as a full entity. My opponent, my fight would be against the slipping aspects of American society. That's deep. That's deep. My opponent, my fight would be against the slipping aspects of American society. Okay, Cameron Conway. Okay, that was number 8. Number 9, the next one here. This is short and to the point. Find your purpose, work your identity, and live with immortality. Okay, artists better be able to relate to that. Okay, find your purpose, work your identity, and live with immortality. Why do we create art? A lot of us, I would say most of us, if not all of us, envision, maybe that ideal self is to be able to create some immortality, that our art will last, will be able to move beyond at least our existence, to have other people, to affect people for years, who knows, generations. Um, we brought up in one of the previous podcasts, I mentioned about Emily Dickinson, the poet, and how she was just she was part of the poetry group, kind of, a little bit, but that wasn't, it's kind of like she wrote all the time. She wrote a lot of letters, this and that, but she really didn't push her stuff up. She got a few things in her lifetime published, but they actually found in drawers, in different, like, all this great poetry that she did after she had passed, and even just the stuff that people kind of knew about. I mean, to kind of like compile it. Once you start compiling that lifetime, as Guy talked about earlier, once you start within a lifetime compiling, a work work body of work. So hopefully you with that body of work will mean it might be, it might be one song, might be one painting, might be something that lives on, but maybe that one thing will have other people look back and say, wow, that's a great painting. What else did that artist do? Uh, so I would think it rare, and I don't know, that there would be one painting that exists from a classical artist or a romantic artist or impressionist, you know. So that would be something that'd be interesting. I mean, if there was like one, it's like kind of okay. There's one painting. That's all that exists. That's all we get to see. There had to be through the years. You would think that there would be a body of work that has been discovered or will be discovered for future from contemporary people in that. Um, so yeah, that's something you want that immortality. Find your purpose, work your identity, and live with. So that's exactly what we're saying. We're creating this, this image, and which gives you purpose. Once you determine your image, you have some positive self esteem to finish your art. Your art might start at very low esteem, as it often does, and push through to the point where it's finished, and you say, yeah, it's finished. So I feel good about it. So you have to be able to finish. Okay, so we do one more. That was 9. Okay, 12. Okay, here's a little longer one. This is from Charlotte Erickson, which is cited from Another Vagabond Lost to Love, Berlin Stories on Leaving and Arriving. Okay. So anyway, this from that. You have to believe that your voice can mean something. You have to believe that what you do matters. And you have to keep going even on days you can't find that belief. If you can't do it for yourself, you do it for all the other young souls who need to be shown things are possible, that they too can do that thing they dream of. You do it despite the doubts and the struggles. You do it because it's what you came here to do. That's what makes an artist. So I think it's very poignant and very well said. And I'll read it one more time, and we'll kind of wrap on that. Just the concept of being able um, to find yourself and define yourself, and to understand the importance of interpersonal communication, being able to be a collaborator within your own self, and have some discussion, interpersonal, and start to define who you are. So I'll read it one more time and then sign off. Okay, here we go. You have to believe that your voice can mean something. You have to believe that what you do matters. And you have to keep going even on days you can't find that belief. If you can't do it for yourself, you do it for all the other young souls who need to be shown that things are possible, that they too can do that thing they dream of. You do it despite the doubts and the struggles. You do it because it's what you came here to do. That's what makes an artist. Thanks a lot. I'll be here next Sunday. Don't forget to subscribe and like this if you really like it. Channel name again is Folk, the U, the big U, Folk U, like the university, Folk U Zeus. And it's at Folk U Zeus. Please spread the word if you like what I'm doing here, and I'm going to get into a lot of topics and different things that apply to art and culture in general. So thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.